Welcome to the Rise Up podcast. I'm so glad you're tuning in today. This is the podcast where we dive into powerful ideas to help you grow, reflect, and rise to your fullest potential. Today, we're exploring a topic that's both eye-opening and deeply personal: how the things we believe are good or right for us might actually be holding us back. It's a conversation about balance, introspection, and how to truly grow without losing sight of what matters most. And don't worry if English isn't your first language, or if you want to follow along in more detail. I've prepared a PDF transcript of this episode for anyone who needs it. You can find it in the episode description. Now let's get started with today's topic. Have you ever stopped to think that something you believe is good for you might actually be causing harm? I know, it's a bold claim, but stay with me. There are things we do, values we hold on to, and habits we cling to because we think they're helping us or others, but in reality, they might be doing the exact opposite. Let's unpack that together. Let's start with something many of us can relate to: being hard on ourselves. Somewhere along the way, a lot of us picked up the belief that the harder we push, the more critical we are of ourselves, the more we'll achieve. It's almost as if we're afraid to go easy on ourselves because that might mean we're lazy, right? But here's the thing: being endlessly tough on yourself doesn't make you stronger. It wears you out. It's like running a marathon, but refusing to drink water because you think the thirst will push you harder. Eventually, you collapse. Not because you're weak, but because you didn't give yourself the care you needed. And it doesn't stop there. That mindset often spills over into how we treat others. Think about it. When you believe being critical or tough is the only way to grow, you might start holding everyone around you to impossibly high standards. Maybe you justify it by thinking, "I just want them to do better." Or, "If I'm not tough, who will push them to improve?" But what happens when that constant critique becomes suffocating? What happens when people around you stop feeling motivated and start feeling like nothing they do is ever good enough? Imagine coming home after a long, exhausting day, hoping for a little support, only to be met with a list of all the ways you could have done better. Feels draining, doesn't it? Now consider this. Could it be that sometimes you're the one holding up that mirror to others? This brings us to something even trickier: when we justify habits or behaviors that seem right but actually cause harm. Have you ever heard someone say, "I'm just brutally honest," right before saying something unnecessarily harsh? Honesty is great, sure, but when it's used as a weapon, it's no longer honesty. It's an excuse. Or think about the times we cling to a habit because it feels good, even when deep down, we know it's holding us back. Maybe it's procrastinating, but telling yourself you work better under pressure. Maybe it's drinking too much on weekends and calling it being social. These justifications might feel harmless, but over time they chip away at the life you want to build. And the worst part? You might not even realize it's happening because you've convinced yourself it's all fine. Now, let's get real for a second. What about double standards? This one's tough to admit, but it happens more often than we like to think. It's when we do something and justify it for ourselves, but can't stand it when someone else does the exact same thing. Maybe it's being critical of someone's work, but when they point out a flaw in yours, it stings. Or maybe it's being a little too sharp with your words at home, and then being frustrated when your child or partner reflects that same behavior back to you. See what I mean? These moments are wake-up calls. They force us to ask, if I don't like it when others do this, why am I okay with doing it myself? So, what's the solution here? Balance. Life isn't about being perfect. It's about being intentional. It's about pausing every now and then to ask yourself, is this really helping me grow, or am I holding on to it because I'm afraid of change? Growth doesn't come from punishing yourself or others. It comes from kindness, self-awareness, and yes, even a little humility. Sometimes the bravest thing you can do is admit, maybe I've been looking at this the wrong way. Think about life as a cycle, like the seasons. Trees lose their leaves in the fall, not because they're dying, but because they're making room for new growth. In the same way, we have the power to let go of old habits, beliefs, and behaviors that no longer serve us. Sure, it's not easy. Change is uncomfortable. But isn't it better to shed what's weighing us down than to carry it around forever? And here's the truth. The greatest impact you can have isn't in what you give to others or what you achieve. It's in who you are. The way you make people feel when you walk into a room, the energy you bring, and the kindness you show, those are the things people remember. Imagine being the kind of person whose presence feels like a gift. Not because you've brought anything, but because you are the gift. I'm not saying this is easy. None of us are perfect, and we all have habits or mindsets we're proud of, even when they might be holding us back. But every now and then, it's worth stepping back and asking, is this truly helping me or the people around me? Or have I been too caught up in my own version of what's right to see the bigger picture? At the end of the day, life isn't about being the toughest, the most critical, or even the most correct. It's about connection, compassion, and growth. It's about being present and allowing yourself and the people around you the space to breathe, make mistakes, and grow. So let's not get so caught up in being good that we forget to be human. Thank you for joining me on the Rise Up podcast. I hope today's conversation sparked some new thoughts and inspired you to take a closer look at the habits and beliefs shaping your life. Remember, growth isn't about being perfect. It's about staying intentional, compassionate, and willing to evolve. Don't forget, if you want to revisit any part of this episode, the PDF transcript is available in the description. It's there to help you follow along or share these ideas with someone who might need them. Until next time, keep rising, keep reflecting, and keep embracing the journey. You've got this. See you in the next episode.